But it annoys me that if you do a song about, say, Nick Clegg, it's not really going to last. The songs about cheese, underwear, bacon rolls, Tourette's is the latest subject.
Okay, but if we touch Tourette's, for example, people might view that as
insensitive. Yes, possibly.
One thing we've got to talk of today is what the woke culture, and
Must be.
Adam doesn't like talking about it. He really hates it, but I think it's
because you don't agree with it, or you think it's too toxic to talk about it.
I think it's too toxic to talk about because I think it's.
But shouldn't we? Isn't that the very reason we should talk about it?
Adam, come and join us. Yeah. La 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 la.
It's variety.
He is
great.
Test.
There's
No.
great.
Ter.
He's
Our.
can't.
Trees.
Great.
Dick.
Te.
Tor.
Niet.
We have leader who is very best.
Bare of chest.
Scariest. Plays it by the book.
Democratic man, 'cause the party isn't over yet.
All Privyet Soviet power has a new look.
Very sexy man.
People, it's your favorite comrade here.
Vladimir, glad I'm here.
President with guts, always wins the vote.
They respect me.
Popular you'll not,
Re-elect me.
doesn't mean to gloat.
Try eject
Better
me.
fetch your coat.
I will crack your nuts.
Democracy runs speedier,
Not at a better rate with a one-party state.
and when you run state media,
And just in case, control army of Facebook troll.
we're rooting Vlad Putin, straight shooting, disagree, and you'll see.
No more Wagner. Foreigners obey.
Distant land and ruler feel his sway.
Would you say USA trumps my pussycat?
Very anti-gay,
Very macho.
likes a photo op
Judo chop.
with no top. Nothing gay with that. Radioactive tea?
All defector will get quite a shock.
Knocky knock, Novichok.
And I've other tricks.
Kremlin gremlin he.
You may hate
Sanctions OMG.
isolate me.
Doesn't worry me.
Can't checkmate
He
me
has money tree.
till 2036.
So thanks, guys. That performance was amazing. So let me introduce you to Adam and Guy from Bounder Cad. And we are here today at the fantastic Magician's Table in Bermondsey for an episode of the Variety Show podcast. So tell me, how long have you known each other?
Quite a while. I
did
think
we were 19 or 20?
I think so, which is longer ago than we care to have met Adam. I think this is, about 20
years.
It was 20 years ago, not quite today. We met at a party. I think I complimented you on your socks. And then we discovered a shared interest in singing. This was at university. We were both singing in our choirs at our respective colleges. And I think the original...
Was this at the University of Cambridge?
It is.
Yes, I've
I'm
heard
glad
of
we
it.
got that out very fast.
Yes, I had to
How
get...
do you tell when someone's been to Cambridge? They mention it soon.
You
so
did ask.
Well, no, they tend to wear colourful scarves and colourful socks, actually.
Okay. Didn't quite, Doctor Who there.
Yes,
Tom Baker.
So you met at that university, and then how long did it take before you started working together, performing together?
Quite fun. I mean, it was maybe a few months, and then we thought, I said, there's this crazy Christmas party, this QC that I was friends with that back in Bath, and he's a bit of a character, and Adam was like, well, it sounds fun party.
Well, I basically invited myself because Guy kept saying what a wonderful party this was, and I got a bit sick of hearing about it. Or indeed, what a swell party it was.
Oh,
Guy
well
said,
done.
you can come if we sing. So the first ever duet we did together was that wonderful duet from High Society.
What a swell
Well,
party.
did you ever? Exactly.
Yes. Are you going to give me some rendition of that now?
I have heard along this glen.
Listener, da 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 da.
Adam.
Well, did I ever?
I never knew that other Adam was such
One
a
of my
singer.
favorite. No, well, I'm not, but one of my favorite.
It is a classic.
Favorite musical. So you did that whilst you're still at university, and then how long did it take to become Bounder and Cad? Before we get to that, is one of you Bounder and one of you Cad, or are you both Bounders and both Cads?
This is a state secret, Adam. With the honest answer, we've never really decided.
We don't actually know as well.
It's a very subtle difference.
Still up. We're still actually not really aware of what it actually means.
And actually, I should have. I'm not sure if I did. Oh, I did at the beginning say you were Bounder and Cad. Yes, so that is the act.
Yeah,
We are. It is the act, but
and this is the identity, but it's a fluid
So
identity.
you can both either be Bounders or Cads.
Yeah.
depending on
Neither
how
of
we
which are
feel.
particularly positive, I presume.
Well, I think Bounders is slightly more positive than Cads. I think
Cad has got a more negative connotation.
Bounders is sort of socially mobile upward, but is a bit naughty with them. Bit naughty with women, but gets away that's lovable.
With the Cad.
Is not.
We do this in the show. We don't want to give away too much of what you might see if you come to see us at the Crazy Coqs every month. But Bounder
Let's see how many times we can get that into the conversation.
Yeah,
There's one, yeah.
have a buzzer. But the best definition would be Norfolk, because whenever we do these shows, people come up to us and ask us that question, and it's a fair one. But the difference is supposedly a Bounder is a man who isn't a gentleman but behaves as if he were.
Whilst a Cad is a gentleman, but behaves as if he weren't.
Sounds like you've practiced that one.
Wow.
We have
The delivery is ever still.
and I still don't get it after all these
Delivery's
years.
good. So you've sung your high society number, and that went very well. How long between that and becoming the act?
So it evolved into a jazz act briefly, and we had a little trio of piano, bass, and drums, which we still typically perform with every month at the Crazy Coqs. But 2 so far, and then the original lyrics crept in, and maybe you can tell that story, Guy.
There are May balls happening at Cambridge every June. This doesn't make any sense.
Which is always strange.
It's always strange,
Yeah.
but we were hard up for cash as students are, and the way to get in, to make sure we get it, and to get free tickets was to perform. So we went around auditioning to sing this sort of jazz rap pack kind of stuff, and we started to do it, and it was really fun. We loved singing these classic numbers, crooning away, and people dancing and jiving to the singing, and meeting all these musicians who we sing jazz. It was just more fun than the choral music. We were doing 16th century choral music in the
Which
chapel.
we do still love. Yeah, it's feeding a different impulse.
I won't ask you to do a rendition of that today.
Well, you could.
I could.
Give a little bit of a Palestrina.
Palestrina is what I was going to mention. Yeah, let's not. So you did a Mabel in June, and that went well, doing jazz. And then Bounder and Cad came after that?
It was a mysterious moment. I had this call from Adam, and he just said, I've just been on this train journey, I think it's to Manchester.
That's right. A friend of mine, fellow singer, was studying at the Royal Northern, and my phone had gone flat, so I had nothing to amuse myself. So I did what any man would do and wrote a parody song about Prince Harry, because this was back in 2012, when he was quite a different man.
Still eminently parodiable, I must say.
Yes, we've left him alone.
Loved as well. Like you pretty much university loved, and
he was in a different phase of his life. This was around the time of the Las Vegas pool party, and the like. And it struck me that there's that wonderful song from Disney's Aladdin, Prince Ali, marvelous he.
Yes.
So by mangling the scansion a little, as many have commented, I changed that into Prince Harry, and that was our first original song. And Guy gamely rose to the challenge of learning his part in that, and we did a recording.
I remember the moment I looked at it, I thought, it's all right. Thank you. And it sort of had sort of momentum inherent in the lyrics. And we thought, like, let's do more of this. And then we slowly phased out the classic golden crooners with the original lyrics, and we started to bring in new lyrics. Actually, originally to that with Ladies a Tramp.
That's right.
One
that
of
was
our
another
first
one of the
originals was actually to that old kind of music that we had been singing, but with updated lyrics.
And if any song is in need of an update, arguably it could be that, because a lot of those references in the original lyrics are quite obscure. Like she follows Winchell and reads every line, and stuff about the rowing in Central.
And you don't actually think of the lyrics, do you? You're so ingrained in you that you don't even know what they mean, and that all you know is, and that's why the lady is a tramp, isn't it?
And even the refrain has caused a lot of undue offence, because it can seem like it's being rather unkind about that lady when actually it's paying her a compliment in a roundabout way. So yes, and then the next development, I suppose, was taking the act from university to London town, where we find ourselves today. And we got a very jammy first gig there, though underpaid.
Well, yeah. So 10 Downing Street had booked a band for the Christmas staff party, but they pulled out 2 or 3 days to go. I got this call from Adam again saying, there's this situation, and we've been given the chance to step in. Are you up for this? We've got to learn all these Christmas songs in no time at all.
Oh yeah, this is in the days of, so this is 2013, so really quite a while ago, in the coalition government of Cameron and Clegg.
And Clegg.
And old
Tuition
Clegg.
fees.
Yes, Nick is sorry. That was remixed. But I saw a little angle for some mischief. And again, in the Rat Pack vein, we had, I think, maybe sung Me in My Shadow, and that felt like an opportunity too good not to miss. But we nearly did, didn't we? Because we made the cardinal error of asking permission.
Never asked for permission, and we did. And it went from the bottom up all the way through the ranks of the email inboxes to the top.
Because you'd written a parody about Nick Clegg.
And Cameron. Me and My Shadow. David
we
and
were
Nick.
sort of still good straight A student boys and asking for the kind of can we do this? And we've done this work, but
so you've learned from that not to ask permission.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I don't know, because it created quite an interesting story, because the principal private secretary said, funny but too close to the bone, so not to be performed. But then when it actually came to it, and Cameron had been dancing around, and then he left, Oliver Dowden, who is the then chief of staff or deputy chief of staff, suddenly just shouted out, "Guys, we've all read the lyrics to all these emails. just sing it anyway."
Yeah. So it created a bit of notoriety around this. I think as a piece of contraband, that made it maybe more exciting.
And then they had letter writers coming up to us. The people that are their task is to, when people write in and complain and stuff, they have to write back and say, well, actually, it's not so bad that the government. Anyway, they said, well, all we need to do is send them that song.
Don't know whether they did, but that was our London debut. And then happy to say since then, we've continued to perform.
That's great, and performing very well, may I say. So what you write in the broad sense is satire. You're taking the mickey out of people, situations like President Putin. I noticed in the song you've just sang.
Daring choice
See
of
how
target.
aware I was of the lyrics. I was,
Thank you for listening.
Are there subject matters you wouldn't touch? Satire.
Well, it's interesting you say we're satirical. We did indeed sort of singing in 10 Downing Street for the Christmas party, teasing the PM in his shadow, is about as satirical as it gets. But since then, I write the lyrics, and I'm maybe just a lazy writer, but it annoys me that if you do a song about, say, Nick Clegg, it's not really going to last. So I've tended to actually steer away from politics altogether, not out of being pusillanimous about it, but I think just more wanted to come up with something that will stand the test of time. So songs about cheese, underwear, bacon rolls, Tourette's is the latest subject.
Okay, but if we touch Tourette's, for example, people might view that as
insensitive. Yes, possibly.
Insensitive.
You're right, and we do put a little disclaimer into the beginning of that.
Not. I mean, it's not actually about Tourette's, is it?
No, it's about reverse Tourette's. So
it's just obviously not Tourette's at all.
But you're right. There is always the potential to upset if you're taking.
But surely that's almost the point, isn't it? On the edge of upsetting people.
Not necessarily, but yes, I think some humour does work like that, and I suppose this one is maybe a bit.
I think it's like, maybe put it a different way. It's about making certain topics that can cause discomfort actually make them. There's a sort of release when you put the kind of absurdity of two things together, like an opposite, and then people laugh. And so it's actually about releasing people from topics that otherwise get them stressed out.
No,
Tension and release.
Because I do remember. I think I remember you did a song about Brexit,
Yes,
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the classic
Which
one.
caused a lot of tension.
which caused a lot of.
But also that, for example, that one taken from the perspective of the French perspective, looking in on all of us in Britain, and rather than one side or the other, and presenting a song that was kind of both sides, and to the extent that after a gig, one particular gig I can remember was the most extraordinary one, where we had one person come up to us and say, I'm a Remainer, thank you so much for writing this song for us, it really means a lot, we need songs like this. Literally the next person after that came up to us, shook my hand and said, look, I'd love you to perform our party conference. And he was the chairman of UKIP. And so we said, I'm afraid we're not going to perform at your party conference. He goes, why? Are we too toxic? And I said, well, yes.
Yes, actually.
But the point is that these two different people had both found meaning in this same song, and that for me is
to explain perspective. I think is key, and if you find an angle that's in itself is funny without being too polarizing or potentially offensive, I think then you're in a happy place. Because the way we styled our Brexit duets was a duet between Michel Barnier and Jean-Claude Juncker, portraying them as these slightly over-emotional Europeans, which I think everyone could get on board. It was basically sort of laughing at the French, which happily we can still do, I think.
In general, it's sort of laughing at the powerful as well. Like there's an element that if you
punching up, not down.
We'd rather punch up rather than down.
No, and I think that needs to happen more, and particularly if you end up in. Seems to be what's happening in America. It seems that Donald Trump doesn't necessarily have a huge sense of humour, certainly doesn't like to have the Mickey taken out, and I think it's obviously healthy for us all not to be.
But as you see with the Putin song, like there's an element of respect in that song for Putin, bizarrely.
Wow. They've taken on a very surface level, but you're right.
But I mean,
people could.
But as in, if it's too obviously just a takedown of someone, then it's actually not as funny.
You're right. I think angry comedy. I don't think comedy can ever really be. Actually, I suppose it can. I think that the style we do is more to do with the music, finding a perspective, an inherent absurdity that isn't. Yeah, too heavy.
One of the songs we've done is probably right on the edge, and that's the Grand Old Duke of York.
Oh yeah, well that's an off-menu item these days, necessarily.
But I won't guess what that's about because it's a bit of challenging the title.
The tune
historical.
But again, an example of taking the mick out of a royal. You know, we did a version of "I Just Can't Wait to Be King."
That's true about our current king, but we've retired that one. Because around the time he got a bit ill, so it didn't feel quite right doing a song teasing him when he was having a tough time.
You have to be aware, don't you? I suppose you have to be sensitive, but not too sensitive. I suppose.
I think what we want to achieve is people feeling better after our gigs. You know, we want people. We want generally after our gigs, people wider eyes. They're smiling. They're sort of, they look happy and alive. Whereas maybe they come in a bit more jaded.
And isn't that, I would argue, the effect of any good performance in a way is some sort of uplift. It's some sort of energizing. It's some sort of emotional opening somehow.
Yeah,
and you enter. You leave slightly different. I mean, it sounds a little bit pretentious, but you leave a slightly different person to when you enter.
Yeah, well, like in our gigs at Crazy Coqs,
that's three.
Three. They're usually on a weekday, for example, weeknight, and maybe people have done a quite hard day at the office.
6:30 Wednesdays from January through till June, I think.
Very nice. That's a bit, maybe. So on weekdays, people come in a little bit, maybe. Just a bit flat, maybe. It's really fun talking to them afterwards and seeing their kind of them lit up. And so, that's the point. Not to hurt people.
Yeah,
live performance. Things always go wrong.
Yes, actually, one of our scariest moments.
Yeah, tell
was
me
actually
about
performing for you. You put together a show at the Ivy Club.
Yes,
remember.
Yes,
and as we were hearing you announce, "Welcome to the stage, Bounder Cad," we realised our pianist was not with us, and he'd gone to the loo.
We couldn't find him. We had to run down a stairwell, and he was just wandering around. Like, we're on now.
But somehow he made it up that spiral staircase
in time.
We
He
arrived
obviously
on
did
stage.
a really good long introduction. Another one was that the Goldsmiths.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
that's right. Well, that's when you used to still drink, if I'm allowed to say.
Yes, I don't drink anymore. Probably because of this particular moment. Actually,
part of they weren't paying us especially well. But we were invited to this extraordinary banquet they put on, which was about 7 courses. With a different wine at every course.
And I was maybe having 2 glasses per course rather than just
and
one.
we were performing at the end of the dinner. So you can imagine.
There's a photo of me sort of holding 2 microphones on the stairs.
Slightly horizontal.
Anyway, afterwards, the lady master, she said, your diction wasn't very good. But no, there was a joke that really.
Oh, that's right. That was
the only. Actually, it's one of the only times our joke has
one.
really properly not landed.
Do you remember those £2 coins? Well, they're still in circulation, but maybe a new batch which have the 2 tones. And there was a defective batch where the middle fell out. And I made some very contrived joke about how they were approved by the goldsmith for the Royal Mint, and the irony doing that they now resemble polo mints with a hole in the middle.
But of course, this is what they most care about. Their pride and joy is
the assay.
Is the fact they do. So the fact we were
I rather took
their craftsmanship.
Took the air out of the room.
Do you ever argue creatively, or you don't like his lyrics? I'm not singing that.
I think yes, it's yours.
Yeah, so sometimes.
I mean, we're two people, well, not young. We're sort of middle aged. No, we're young still. Maybe I don't know, but I think there's an element of any two guys who've been friends for 19 years are gonna rub up the wrong way sometimes.
But I'm always glad of a perspective. I think now we've got to the stage where if I present you a set of lyrics, you're happy just to go with them. But not always. But sometimes I'm saying, like, do you like them? To make sure it is something that should work.
But I mean, making something come alive on stage, and it's two different people, you're always going to have slightly different ideas as to how that's done. But I think we're quite robust in our feedback to each other, and you like the concept of feedback.
Because I'll know if you don't like something, so we may as well talk about it. So.
Yeah, exactly. And if
further down the line.
And if I give you a note that you think is good, then you'll take it. If you don't agree with it, you won't.
Yeah.
And we're generally like, let things go if it's not if it's not too big deal. But if we actually believe and we actually really stick, we will usually find some kind of compromise.
Yeah, I think we've got a similar taste in humour and music.
But I think you're right. It's you need a little bit of creative tension, don't you, to get the best out of each other.
Yeah. Actually, going back to the creative point and like not touching things. One thing we've got to talk of today is what the woke culture. And
Must be.
Adam doesn't like talking about it. He really hates it. But I think it's
because you don't agree with it, or you think it's too toxic to talk about it.
I think it's too toxic to talk about because I think it is.
But shouldn't we? Isn't that the very reason we should talk about it?
Well, it gets a lot of airtime. So actually,
I know,
we're trying to move beyond it.
You could argue that a lot of the advances political parties that we might not agree with have done so is because of that. Because there are swathes of population who don't necessarily agree with that culture.
We want to be uplifting. Again, it's the same point in terms of fearing whether you can do something or not doing something. Like, we know it's there, and we want to create art that makes people laugh. And
you two are both male and white, as am I. Do you think that matters in what you do? Do you think people could perceive it as elitist or?
When we come on stage, we say we are
this is the opening joke. Yeah.
We say we are very privileged to be here this evening. So it's the first thing we say. Perception is just one thing, and I am who I am. So like, unless I want to stop the whole thing and not do it, it's an interesting issue.
And I raise it also because I was interviewing an opera singer recently for the podcast, and she said the only negative criticism that she got on social media was nothing to do with her singing or her voice, but more the fact that people said she was entitled, and because she came from a sort of good background and had the money to do the training.
How do people end up feeling at the end of this? It's not, and I think hopefully we're doing this now, and we were just trying to be ourselves. So yeah, it gets a bit I'm sure there'll be all sorts of perceptions around our privilege and how we sound and our voice. But at the end of the day, either people will like our songs or they won't, and we can't really do much about that. We can just be sort of decent in the way we handle subjects and people and talk to people, and that's all we can do. You can't really solve bigger issues that are already out there.
Your own idols, growing up, performing idols, who would be the people that you would look up to, or who inspired you?
Well, I was about to sort of answer your point, how the priority for me is just doing the job well. And in terms of people I look up to for their craft, Noël Coward, I think is rightly called the master. And I've got a copy of his collected lyrics. Occasionally I look at that one and look at inspiration. But
Dudley Moore, Peter Cook, Flanders Swann, I suppose, are other influences.
But I suppose our biggest influence is the late, great Kit Haskell Harvey of Kit and the Widow. And
who I did see. And who, when we started, we booked once. I mean, yeah.
Great. And it's lovely that people can compare us to him. because I met him while doing a opera production of The Magic Flute as a student up at the Edinburgh Fringe. And we were using a libretto that he translated very wittily for Opera North. And he just appeared, and he was this sort of maelstrom of silken sass, and just seemed so funny. I thought, I've got to see what this guy's about. So I went to see his show in London. This was probably before I wrote that first song, and then wrote a couple of songs for student comedy shows, and then that Prince Harry song I referred to. So I think he was definitely the biggest influence.
Yeah, and a deeply kind of kind person, and also just a lover of life. I mean, in the last 3 weeks of his, 3 weeks before he died, he sent me a text saying he wanted to buy some of my pilgrimage books, and I thought, this is a bit strange. And then all these obituaries came out, and it mentioned how he was trying to revive a pilgrimage route in Norfolk. And this is in my other life, the British Pilgrimage Trust is a charity I founded. It was so strange. I've never understood the connection between pilgrimage and comedy singing. And then suddenly our own inspiration was doing that, and that was it was sort of making sense of this strange thing. And yeah, it's
the common thread is he, like us, learned to sing in church choirs. He was I think head chorister at Ely Cathedral. Is that right?
That's another.
Going back, just explain to me the link between the pilgrimage.
Okay, well, and pilgrimage in a kind of general sense, open to all, but bring your own beliefs. But I think that the link is ways of being that we have always done, and there've always been a Noël Coward in every there've always been the Bounder Cad in every generation, looking in at a subject, and there's always been pilgrimage, like these traditions that never end, these timeless traditions and lineages of a way of being. So I think that there's something apart from that,
there's sort of our essence somehow. There's something essential to us.
Yeah, like learning how to laugh about difficult things is pretty cool. I think, when I was studying psychotherapy a little bit about 10 years ago, there were all these Freud's defense mechanisms, coping mechanisms, and they're right at the bottom is like repression, denial, all these kinds of things. But at the top, the most advanced coping mechanism for conflict in your mind is comedy and humor. So I think it's like really, really essential to being human. Unless we get good at finding things that are really difficult to find funny, we're not actually going to be happy. It's part of being peaceful.
Back to your earlier question about whether we ever disagree, like usually we end up laughing. I think lately, definitely.
Yeah.
So laughing can be the resolution of an argument, can't it?
Usually you get to a point
where
you see absurdity. And I think absurdity is really important, because there are lots of things are.
Yeah, well, when we're talking about absurd, this is a good link, because normally guests, i.e. you, teach me something and a show, and I was wondering if you had an idea of something that you could teach me.
How's your harmonica playing?
Brilliant, but I left my harmonica at home, unfortunately.
Well, luckily I brought mine, Adam. No, you sing in a choir, don't you?
I do, yes,
okay.
That's true.
So, what do you think?
Well, something that standard tune that people know, that people know. Well, one of the songs we're going to do.
Yes. How do you feel about some opera?
Opera? No, I love opera. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
What do you feel like singing the opening phrase of probably one of the most iconic opera arias of all time?
Nessun Dorma?
Close.
Yeah. Nessun Dorma.
The other one.
I can do that one.
Yeah.
La Donna Immobile.
Correct.
Must have read our email.
So what would I need to do?
We'll do a little intro to explain where the inspiration for the song and indeed the lyrics comes from, and then you can come join us on stage. How's that sound?
Okay, that sounds a good thing. So that'll be the opening of La Donna.
I reckon that first phrase. That's all right.
That's great. Well, I look forward to doing that. Guy and Adam, it has been an absolute delight. Thank you for watching, everyone who's watched. If you want information about any future episodes, do visit us at our socials on TikTok, YouTube, and of course Instagram, and see you at the next episode. Thank you very much and goodbye.
So we, musical comedy duo Bounder and Cad, would now like to offer you something rather rarefied.
Yes, we'd like to perform an opera aria by Giuseppe Verdi.
That's Joe Green to us, Prince.
We're going to sing this Italian aria in English translation, just to keep it real.
Got to keep things real. Can we have a vamp, please, Alex? Oh, that's lovely. The title of this operatic aria is La Donna è mobile, which, as everyone knows, means woman and her mobile. Adam, come and join us. La 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 la.
La donna immobile.
Habit ignobile stares in her hand. Oh, tick-tock of panda.
Tells me ti amo on Instagram. Spelling is dodgy, mostly emoji.
Self-promoter.
Retweet my photo,
Part of a
selfie.
In underwear.
Flicka the hair.
Klicka, share, hey, sing along. La, da, 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 da. We take selfie with videographers. Hey. You like photo of Adam Sternberg? Oh, but you're so photogenic.
It's variety.